This has an accumulator in it because it is a heat pump. So what you're seeing here, this is not a filter dryer. Remember, that comes out separately. This is the muffler, and that's the accumulator. The muffler is to help keep it quiet. All right? But it is a heat pump, so you know it already comes with an accumulator. And yes, it's going to sweat. It's going to sweat. It's storing refrigerant. There's no way around it. So yes, that canister will sweat. So there might be, I had one person with a different product that was inverter where the accumulator sweat, and they didn't like to see the water on their pad. But that, when you get used to, there are some wacky dudes out there. But you will see that with these inverters, you're going to have, a little water on the pad, and you ask, where is that coming from? It's just the condensation from the accumulator, because all the refrigerant is being stored in there. So you got a hot, humid summer, cold refrigerant is going to sweat. You can't avoid it. Now you can take the top off, dry it off, and try to insulate it. That you can do. If that person doesn't like the fact that they see water on their pad. We had to do that with that one person. But so you know, be prepared for that. All right? Multiple protection. So let's talk about beach. Let's talk about shoreline. In our warranty, we do mention that when you're within 2 miles of the beach, that we do recommend extra coating on the unit. I understand that you don't have a facility here in Massachusetts, but we do have one down in Florida where you can have the unit shipped there, and they will disassemble the unit and dip it in their solution and dry it. That doesn't mean it'll never corrode. It just slows it down. It's not going to affect the warranty of the unit, right? It's an extra cost, usually about $300 to $500, right? But that's if you're you're literally on the beach. And, you let that customer know, hey, for an extra $500, would you want this coated? They do sell that same product in an aerosol can. It's recommended that you put that extra coating on there if you can.
How much longer is it going to last?
With that, so usually you can get another 2 to 3 years out of it. Usually. But it still requires maintenance. So if you get it dipped initially, right, they have their own warranty along with ours. So instead of having to change a unit every 5 years, you can probably stretch it out to the 10-year, because you can have it dipped, then you can buy their can, and when you go do maintenance, you rinse it off with fresh water, get that, and then respray it. And you can stretch out the warranty of that coil or any other component inside that unit as close to the 10 years as possible, versus them having to spend on getting another condenser every 5 years. All right? We're not going to, because it's a beach job, we're not going to remove the 10-year warranty. That we're not going to do. But there are ways to try to extend the life of that unit. Just wanted to share that information with you, okay? But it's been tested. As you saw in that quick little video, we do have labs, that's little chambers that simulate super cold temperatures, dry, hot desert temperatures, hot, humid temperatures, and freezing temperatures. So they do go through that test. They do have a little coating on it, but it's only good for up to 500 hours, which is not a whole lot. That's why we say if you're down by the beach area, get a little extra coating on it, all right? The wiring, and I expect everybody to be dressed just like that, okay? Right. Your voltage range, 187 to 253. The board will lock itself out if it goes too low or too high. It will lock itself out. and it won't reset. You have to shut the breaker off, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then turn it back on. It's a hard lockout, right? But that's not surge protection. That's something else. That's more like current protection. Heat in the heat, yes, it can get down to -4 degrees and still produce enough heat. And as far as cooling, it can get up as high as 125 degrees ambient temperature and still produce cooling BTUs. If the temperatures ever do get above 100 degrees, then yeah, it's going to ramp up. It's going to, give you, 100% of its capacity. And yeah, you're going to lose a little bit of that efficiency. But usually the 125 degree day is like an anomaly, and only happens one day of that summer. This unit will be, okay, no problem. We're just going to ramp up and get you that cooling still. It has that ability to do it. But what you don't want is on a regular 90, 95 degree day to be running at 100 or 130%. That's what you don't want, okay? That defeats the purpose of having the inverter. Okay, environmentally friendly, R454B. Handle it like you handle 410A, Remember, it's the oil that is what attracts the moisture, not the refrigerant. So anytime you do any kind of refrigeration repair, coil replacement, you have to change the dryer. And do your vacuum, do that triple evacuation. Make sure the line is clean, okay? and be careful. That ProPress is becoming more and more popular. And you can use the ProPress on the indoor unit. You just got to cut out the wedged piece on the suction line, and then slide your ProPress on here on both lines. I personally, if I had my own business, that's what I would do. It's that way I don't have to worry about welding in here, especially if it's in a condo apartment. You got the sprinkler right above you, the fire center right above you. Screw that. I'm going to go ProPress all day, and don't worry about it leaking, because some of those ProPresses are really good. The ones that I've seen actually have a key that if you ever do need to go back and make a repair, there's a key that you slide into that fitting and unlock it, and then you'll be able to reuse it. So I would, shop around, find the one that fits your budget and the one that will work for you. But the majority of them are very good. So if you do have an application where this is going to be in an apartment and you have that sensors right above you like that, ProPress it all day. Our motor is very robust, 0.8 inches static. It's a very strong motor. Okay, it will push some air. So if you have a basement application and it's got to go up 2 floors, no problem. But you do have dip switches. In the booklet that it comes with, it will break down. If you don't have a magnet helix gauge, I recommend you getting one. That's a very important tool. The magnet helix gauge comes with 2 probes, one you put in a return and the other one you put in a supply. And it's an analog gauge. It tells you what your static pressure is. Then you use the book to determine what CFMs that fan is running at. And remember, 400 CFMs per ton. That way is my fan too fast or is my fan too slow? But having the magnet helix to measure your static pressure will help you determine that. And then you just make your adjustment on the dip switches if needed. Okay? Anytime you make an adjustment on the dip switch, you have to shut the power off. You cannot make the adjustment with the power on because they won't recognize it. You got to shut the power off, make your adjustment, then turn it back on. So that way it registers the change. Okay? But if you don't have a magnet helix, get one. It's a very important tool. It's about $80, $90. It's good to have. If you want to use a digital one, use a digital one. I personally like the Dwyer old school analog one. I've always used that one. That's one of the best tools to have. Okay. But 0.8 inch is very robust. Our competitors are usually 0.5. So the fact that we have a strong motor on houses that have a lot of ductwork, no problem. And then it has multi-position that we talked about, you know, horizontal left, horizontal right, vertical, and also downflow. We do have downflow. And there's a downflow kit that you have to install when you flip this thing upside down. Okay. And basically what that downflow kit is, it looks like a drain pan. That's what it looks like. And depending on which way you go, left or right, the coil slides out, you turn it around and slide it back in. Okay. All this quiet operation and all that stuff, that comes through using that communicating thermostat. But there's something else I want to share the service book with you, because there's things in there that I want to show you that's not on these slides. Any questions so far? Concerns, thoughts? Talk to me. Talk to me, Goose. That was such a good movie. Have you seen The Maverick? The Top Gun?
The original one?
The original one and the second one?
You guys want?
You never saw the second one?
You guys can look inside.
Oh my gosh. You gotta see the second one, Maverick. You gotta see it. Very emotional. Very emotional.
Reversing valve, the compressor's got a
Is the reversing valve, is it?
EEV.
insulation over it.
No, for switching to heat, AC, it is the
Default is heat.
default.
So you have to activate the EEV and cooling.
Another one in there too, under the blanket.
Where are we? So you said the motor is very robust, and it's a 0.8 ESP. Is that environmental static pressure?
Suction line.
Or external?
line.
That's
Receiver.
external from the unit, yes.
Okay.
Static pressure. The ideal number is 0.5. That way you get the best dehumidification. But if you have a lot of ductwork and you got a big return, 0.8 is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So so on the outside you have your EEV for the reversing valve, but on the inside it's a TXV, non-adjustable.
This is TXV?
Right.
This one's what?
EEV, electronic valve. You can see the color of the coil is coated. It's got a little gold tint to it. So it does have a little bit of environmental protection.
Galvanized.
Yeah, the cabin, the gauge metal that they use out here, I believe it's 24 gauge, so it's a little bit thicker, it's a little bit more solid. And when you locate the condenser outside, you know, keep in mind where the sprinkler head is. I don't know. You tell me. In this region, do they use well water for their sprinkler heads, or is it fresh water?
How's it in the suburb?
Depend on the suburb. They use well water.
Yeah, it depends where you're located. Some houses have well water, or some use city.